Okay, welcome to another exciting update on Archmage Rises, the greatest role-playing game that Nick has ever made. Actually, it's the greatest role-playing game that will be made. I'm back. I was away for about 10 days or so. I have been back for one day, and I gotta say, Nick, I need a vacation.
Not yet, Thomas.
Nope.
Time to get back to work.
I know. It's my kids, man. They're driving me crazy. When I was on the cruise ship, they have this thing called Club Hal, and they will take a 3-year-old that's been toilet trained and up and watch your kids. And we're like, this is the greatest thing ever. So we're always shoving our kids into Club Hal and asking them, hey, kids, would you like to go to Club Hal? And they're like, yay! And so we shove them in Club Hal, and we can go out for a nice meal and or just have some quiet time to ourselves. So we are back home, and there's no Club Hal, and I need a vacation. Everybody's disappointed, Nick, that you did not make a video update while I was away.
I think they feel relieved, Thomas.
I saw the comments. People were asking for it. Nick, make us a video. So why don't you tell everybody what you did while I was away?
I worked on Archmage a lot. Put in a bunch of economy stuff, bunch of UI work. Basically, just trying to get the game ready for build 11. So I ended up playing the game a lot, running into bugs, fixing stuff. Lots and lots of bug fixes. That way you don't have to bug test when you get the, when you get the release.
That's right. So we chatted last night a bit in preparation for today, for my one whole day of working before it's the weekend. And so what I did was I decided to do an audit of the game and see like where we stand. So Nick did tons of stuff while I was away, and that was cool. And I'll circle back to that in a second. So today I started doing an audit of the game, and just found all kinds of bugs and things that are not good, and just not good. And so the goal is to create a build that is representative of what Archmage Rises will be, and show that it's real and that people can enjoy it, and hopefully that it will help give people something they can spread the word about. They're like, hey, check this game out, and it's like, wow, this is cool, it's real, and people can see from the build like where we're going with it. That creates a quality issue of I don't want to say, hey, here's a build that's representative of what we can do, and then everything sucks in it. What is the status of build 11? When are we going to get this thing out? I don't have an answer for you yet because I didn't finish the audit today because I was writing down so many bugs. It took me most of today to write down all the problems and stuff. But it's sad to see how many problems there is, because if you don't have a concrete list in front of you, you go, there's probably 5 or 10 things that are wrong. And then when you have 37 things in front of you, and you're like, wow, I haven't even gone through half the game yet. Then reality starts setting in. But anyway, I noticed that there's a couple open world games that were supposed to come out in 2017, and I'm not talking about Archmage Rises, but State of Decay 2 and Crackdown 3, and they've all been delayed to who knows when in 2018. And so we're in good company. That it's hard to make open world games. And delays are inevitable because you just don't know how many things you have to work on. So that's why I'm trying to do the audit and come up with that kind of final list. But I did want to circle back to something, an email that I got while I was on vacation from one of our good fans here, Anthony. And he said something kind of, what's the right word? He said something kind of unexpected to me. And so I think there was a misunderstanding that he had about things that I wanted to try and clarify, not just for him because I sent him an email back, but if there's other people that are watching and maybe have the same kind of misunderstanding of things. So let me explain what he emailed me. So basically, Anthony sent me an email saying, hey, I watched the latest update, saw that you're going away for 2 weeks. It would be really great if you ran a Kickstarter, got yourself some money, and stopped doing Archmage as a hobby and started doing it professionally, right? Like it's a great game, like get her done, right? And so I was like, that's really kind of interesting that he's saying that, because I do work on it full time, and I think you do, Nick.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Um, so what we so just so people know exactly what happens, I wake up each morning and I work on Archmage. I try to work on it all day. Sometimes I get interrupted by things, like when one of my renters at one of my properties, their pipes all froze, and I had to go find a plumber or whatever in order to solve all that. Or when my wife forces me to go on vacation, which I just want to say for the record, I didn't want to go on. But the Club Hell thing was pretty cool. But in general, yeah, this is all I do, is work on Archmage. And when I'm not working on Archmage, I'm thinking about Archmage. So it's very much a full-time job that way. Even though I have other responsibilities in other companies and stuff, this is actually my main thing. The second thing is that if I was to run a Kickstarter, and I'll never say never, but I don't see that in our future, but if I was to run a Kickstarter, I just don't think that it will make any difference at all. Yeah, so last year I spent $80,000 on the game. That is art, programming, other marketing things related to the game. So let's say I do a Kickstarter, right? And I look at some of the indie Kickstarters for $25,000 or $35,000 or $50,000, something like that. If you start asking for $200,000, $400,000, and you're like a first time, you're like, hey, one guy or two guys or something, like, hey, we need $400,000 to make this game and stuff. I don't think people really flock to that unless maybe the idea is amazing, which, by the way, Archmage is. But it's hard to convey. But anyway, so you're asking for $50,000, and then you hope to overfund. So if we got like $200,000 or something like that, I just don't see anything changing. Like, I'm still going to keep paying Nick full time. I'll keep paying Roger. I'll keep paying Chris, the animator, which no one has met yet because we didn't do an interview with him yet. But we'll do that. It's adding a third person to the team, I don't see how that can really improve the speed at all. What do you think?
No. The problem is that the issues we're running into, right, in such a deeply connected game, they're like very difficult problems to solve because you solve a problem for one way. Oh, this is better for the player, and then it doesn't work for the NPCs, right? But you're all using the same data. So
actually, let me just interrupt you on that because we were just talking about that before we started recording.
Yeah,
where you had made the food items, or basically any item that you grind immediately becomes, I think it was one food stuff. Is that what it was? Did you make it one?
Yeah, I made it from 1 to 2, from 2 to 1 for the default of the amount that you'd get back from grinding food.
Yeah, so if neither of us had specifically programmed something in to say, hey, this should grind into 2 metal, then by default it would grind into 1 food stuff. And and so I was working on something. I don't even remember now what I was working on. But anyway, I was working on something in the game, and I was like, why is it going down to 1 food stuff? This is totally wrong. I gotta make it so it grinds down to 2 food stuff. And then that solved my problem with how I think it was when people were buying food from the market and storing it in their homes. It would like grind down things and give them food stuff. Anyways, it would all work at 2. It didn't work at 1. And,
right.
And then what happened with you?
Well, my problem was I had it set up so you would get a foodstuff per pound of the item.
Yeah.
And the problem I ran into was when something, by default, when something ground into 2 foodstuff, you take a foodstuff, stick it in the grinder, and you get 2 foodstuffs out, right? So basically, you could take 1 foodstuff and just like double it exponentially in your grinder, which made you obviously rich and broke the game because you were full of foodstuff.
Yeah. So what we don't need is a third person who's changing that variable.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So it might work for the NPCs not work for the NPCs in a certain case, and work for the player. The idea is to try to balance all of these moving parts, and that deep connectivity is what gives you a real rich open world where you can do a lot of different things and tweak things, and so it's just very difficult. We're like AI wranglers here, like trying to figure out where the fish were going, why this fishing town doesn't have any food, and it's because all these guys were storing it for their families, right? You go into their house and they're just full of fish, and then the market's like, we're out of food, right? Because the fishermen are hoarding all the fish, so. There's just all this weird stuff that happens, and the idea is to really understand how everything's working and solve those problems in the right manner. And like you said, more people, more heads is not going to make that go faster.
Well, and there's a lot of design questions that come up, right? Like while I was away, you were mentioning the other day, like, oh man, glad you're back because I ran into this, into this. And it's not just, oh, Thomas, tell me the way you want it. It's like, man, this is a thorny issue. I need to talk it through with somebody, and we need to figure out, okay, this is probably the best way to go with that.
Absolutely.
I guess a third person would kind of help with that, because then if I'm not around, you can talk to that person. Or you're not around, I could talk to that person. Actually, this Anthony guy's onto something. We should get a third person. Okay, scratch everything I said before. We need a third person.
Yeah, we just need you not to go on any vacations, and me as well. We just won't do anything but Archmage, and then we won't have this problem.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. So I think this is the year of Archmage Rises. I think that we have a very good chance at getting the release out. Not a release, but the release of Archmage Rises out this year. And if not, it'll be very close. And, we'll put the final version out beginning of next year or something like that. But back to Anthony's thing about, get some more money, be more professional, get the game out sooner. $100,000, $200,000. I just can't see how that makes much of a difference at this point. I think we have the right team in order to build this thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Said a guy who's on the team.
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for. I mean, how could Nick disagree? I don't think we have very good programmers, Thomas.
That's right.
So I think we have the right team in order to do it, especially at our current budget level. Now, if we got $500,000, if there's a benefactor out there that wants to give me $500,000 in order to finish this game, I think we could probably make it faster, and we could probably make it better than what I'm currently doing. But I don't. The chances of getting $500,000 on Kickstarter or Fig or anything else, I think are real slim. So I haven't really spent any time thinking about that. But you never know who's going to watch this video on YouTube, who just has, $500,000 blowing a hole in their pocket, and they're like, their biggest problem in life is, what do I do with my $500,000, right? Then we've now helped solve that problem by telling them that we can put that to good use. But apart from that happening, I think this is the team, and this, we're just going to keep plugging away at it. And it does suck that I have to delay builds when I go away on mandatory vacations. But I must say that going away on vacation for 10 days, being away from it, actually really helped a lot. And I came back really, really wanting to work on the game. And that's a good thing, because coming into my 5th year of working on it, I think. I think it's my 5th year now. 4th or 5th year working on the game. And it's hard to keep up motivation for all that time. So 10-day break away from it made me go, yeah, it's really a great game, and I need to get back to it and really just get that build out. So that's what we're back and we're doing.
Sounds great. Let's get back to
it. Let's stop shooting a video and get back to working on the game. Right, Nick?
That's right. Those fish ain't going to catch themselves.
Okay, that's right. So I guess that's all we have to say right now. I've only been back for a day and don't have anything else to say other than, we're just continuing to test and fix bugs, solve issues. There's like UI issues. We had like icons not showing up and text going all the way across the screen. I just got to say, for the record, I'm real glad that we didn't push a build out before I left, because what a disaster that would have been, right? Like, you've been working on the buying and selling of the market because it wasn't working at all. I mean, what was the point of giving that to people and then just hearing them complain about it in the forums, right? That was like no good. So no crappy build. Don't be a goblin better. And we will see you next week with a more informative update.
Okay.
Okay.
See you then.
Bye.